Hey everyone, welcome back. So a little change here in the layout of the videos or the streams that I do right now. It's just my face is all red and icky. So I'm like, I'm not gonna show you guys my face that close up. So we're doing a little on the right hand side, a little blurb of me at least. And then we're going to get into obviously all these things today as well. Markets didn't do too well today. Bitcoin didn't do too well. Miners didn't do too well today. We'll take a look at all that. We'll also take a look at the M2 supply over Bitcoin overlay. See how that's stacking up. We're going to look at the 108-day, I think, offset on it. So that's going to be happening here. We'll take a look at also an older story from Bitmain. They're moving production to the United States. I thought this was kind of adequate to talk about right now. This is going back a couple of months, but I think I saw something about it today as well, where they're going to be doing production of their ASICs. We'll take a look at that. We'll look at also the miners, network hash rate, market share. Has that been increasing? Has that been actually decreasing? We'll take a look at that. And then we'll look at the miners ranking for March as far as like the top 5 miners as far as performance is concerned, over 6 and 8 metrics. Then we'll get into you guys' Q&A here, and we'll call it a day here, all right? So let's get into what we got to get into. But first, we got to do this, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research, full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on here in the markets. Bitcoin obviously was down today. It was down, it took back maybe half of what it gained on the previous day. So we were down approximately 3.68% on it. We closed at 79,552. I still like this setup here right now. It's not that great, but it's not that bad either. We're still above that 73,000 mark right here on the line, which is our previous high that we reached before the halving event. So I'm still happy about that. We're doing all right in the new day. We're up a little bit. We're up 1.12%. So we're doing okay, right? It's not as great as maybe like gold is doing. Gold hit a new all-time high today. If I pull that one up really quick, we should see that. Yeah, I mean, it's still, yeah, it's at 32.16 right now. So gold is looking like a safe haven here. We had the, let's see here, the 10-year rate going up as well. So bonds are not doing too good here. U.S. Treasury also on the 30-year note is going up. Bond yields actually, so that's been going up. That, you know, one of the reasons that they're saying that Trump actually did the pause on tariffs was because of the fears on the bonds, right? And those are still going up here. So we'll see what that means for us. But it obviously means gold's going up. Everything else is going up except for Bitcoin and the stock market in general. Unfortunately, miners were down today, right? Everything was down today. A lot of them kind of pulled back half the gains that they had from the other day. So it wasn't that bad, but still we had a red day. We kind of expected it, having a really nice day the prior day. So yesterday, right? So yeah, I mean, today's Thursday. It was yesterday that we had a nice day. Bitfarms was down almost 9% here. BitDeer was down almost 14%, but they're all kind of trading in this kind of range here, at least right now. Maybe they have bottomed out here. Cypher, same thing, almost down 10% here. Cleanspark was down 6.5%. CORZ was down 9%. Hive down 5, almost 6% there. Hut 8, 6, almost 7% as well. IREN was down 7%. Mara was down 4.5 roughly. Riot was down 8. And Wolf was down 13. And they're all kind of, at least the last couple of days, have been kind of trading in this range here for some reason. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's the bottom signal here for it all. Maybe. I don't know. It all depends where the markets go, where Bitcoin goes, and everything else. Okay, so that's kind of where we are with it right now. MicroStrategy was also down today. Galaxy was, I mean, pretty much everything was down. The only thing that was up was, what is this one here? This is the blockchain group was actually up 13% for some reason. Not sure what happened there. Everything else, small miners were down. ETFs were down again today. They were up yesterday, but they were down today. And it's the markets. I mean, the markets are right now irrational. They're in panic mode, fear mode, whatever you want to call it. We do have at least a sigh of relief with the tariffs with 70 some odd countries, but there's still that big overhang of China. We'll see how that gets worked out, if it's going to continue on as a trade war there or not. That's going to be, I think once that's settled, that might be the catalyst where we actually start going back up and things get, you know, everything else gets settled out there. Things might be much better for us. So they really need to get those negotiations going with all these countries and get them on the books as fast as possible. If we want to have a continuation of a nice bull run here in not only the markets, but also in Bitcoin and the miners as well. But that's that information there. If we look at the returns here on Bitcoin right now, as of April, let me refresh this really quick. We're down 3.36%. So a little bit of a pullback today from what we saw yesterday. Bitcoin ETF inflows here. Let's update this as well. You guys will see that, and this one's taking a while to load up here. We've had a number of days here now in the negative. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm guessing tomorrow's gonna be another negative. So we've definitely had a lot of outflows in the ETFs on that one. Markets right now are looking pretty good. Pre-market, there we go. I wanted to go there. Went too far. Pre-market, we're down a little bit here on the Dow futures, S&P futures, and the NASDAQ futures as well. Oil's down to 59 here. That one's been trading down lower, it seems like. So that's a good thing for a lot of people. Oil being down lower, that should lower costs on certain things, at least for transportation, things like that. But yeah, that's the only good thing I guess you could see out of everything happening here right now, out of it all. Okay, next, let's take a look at the M2. This was from a post here. Lark Davis, I think, provided this, which is actually from Colin T. Crypto. He put out this chart here. I thought this was a great chart here. And he did this as a 108-day offset, right? So the global M2 money supply, which is this line right here, this is where we're at with it right now. And then here's Bitcoin and the orange, BTC. And you can see how pretty closely it correlates to it with the offset, right? So he's saying that in May is the time when we might actually blast off going up here. So would that be a good thing for us? Heck yeah, it'd be excellent for us. Definitely love to see that happening. And based on what we're seeing here, that could actually play out that way. We need clarity in the tariffs and everything else, but maybe that by that time we will get it figured out, maybe. And then we go rocketing up much higher here, right? Some people are still calling for Bitcoin to get to at least 150,000 on a bear case, more or less, for it, and then higher than that, even 250,000, 300,000 if we have a bull run still continuing on here. So interesting, something we're going to keep an eye on, see how this plays out going forward. Right now, the correlation is pretty high on it. So we're just going to keep an eye on it, see how it goes beyond. As we get closer to May, do we then start taking off here after that? Okay, so we'll keep an eye on this one. And then a really quick story here, which is about a couple months old here, but I thought it was good. I saw something else about it today from Bitmain. I think they posted a tweet about it, that they are moving some of their production over to the United States here. And this, I think, just coincides with this. But Bitmain launched its U.S. production line to outmaneuver geopolitical trade tensions. So they were already thinking about this even this was back in December. So we're going back roughly, almost 4 or 5 months now. So they were getting ahead of the curve here a little bit. And man, if they called it at that time, they definitely called it the right way. But here's what we got. So Bitcoin mining hardware giant Bitmain announced the launch of new U.S.-based production line, a strategic move aimed at mitigating delays caused by customer holds and navigating escalating trade tensions. So yeah, that was a good move by them, but it's also it gets them past the tariffs possibly, right? So that would be good for the miners that still have machines that are on their way and getting delivered. As far as what they're going to be producing, I'm guessing they're going to be just putting the things together. I don't believe they're going to be making any chips here. TSMC is making a fab here. I think it's in Arizona, so maybe they could get the chips from that. And then the circuit boards are easy. I mean, there's plenty of companies here in the United States that make circuit boards that you can then swap the chips onto those and get them going and just build a chassis for them and send them out. So it's not that big of a deal. The biggest thing is obviously the chips. If you can get those built here as well, I think that'd be great. And it's actually a really good move, because what we're seeing here, which we're going to take a look at in a second here, is the miners are taking market share away from other spots of the world, I guess you could say, the public ones here in the United States. Okay, but here's what they said back then. Supply chain challenges. The launch of U.S. operations follow significant disruptions for American miners who have faced delays of up to 2 months after CBP detained shipments of Bitmain's S21s and T21 application-specific integrated circuits. Some companies reported paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in storage fees while awaiting equipment release. Right, that's not good. The delays are reportedly tied to concerns over Bitmain ties to chip designer Solfogo, which is under investigation by the U.S. authorities for alleged connection to Huawei. Huawei, as you know, is a state-sponsored entity in China. There's fears that their products might have backdoors and things like that, that the Chinese government could get access to and spy on U.S. companies and things like that. U.S. government also. That's why we don't have I don't think we have any Huawei stuff here, except for maybe a couple of smartphones you can maybe order online that gets shipped over here, but that's about it. We don't have any media MediaCom circuitry based by Huawei, so that's the reason for it. And then the strategic shift here, the U.S. has become a significant hub for Bitcoin mining, contributing a large share of the global hash rate. However, the industry's reliance on Chinese manufactured equipment has made it vulnerable to geopolitical and regulatory disruptions. Bitmain's expansion into the U.S. represents a proactive effort to reduce these risks and strengthen its competitive position in the region, which I agree. So this is obviously a really good thing that they're doing there. And I think this is really good for the miners because if they can get productions in here, and we'll take a look at how much the miners actually represent now of market share in Bitcoin mining, that is a large percentage here, especially in just one country alone. So it's good on them to do this. It's good for the miners. This should lead to, I don't know if it's going to lead to lower costs. I doubt that, but at least it would lead to less disruptions in the supply chain for the miners here in the United States, and it would be good. Get jobs in here as well. So there's a lot of positives to this. All right, so that is it on that one. Let's take a look at really quick here what we have for the Bitcoin network hash rate versus miners. And we look back, basically going back roughly 2 years on this data here. So you can see on this first chart here, we got Bitcoin network hash rate. And then we have the total for the miners down in the pink, orange, whatever you want to call this line here. And the network hash rate 2 years ago was at 341 exahash. We are now at 816 as of March here at least. So that has continued to increase here. We had a little bit of a dip here over the summertime when we had the halving event. Things went offline, some of the older machines and things like that, but things have started to continue to go back up here. They've slowed down quite a bit here recently in the last couple of months. They're not jumping up as high as one I thought they were going to do, maybe as others had thought as well. But that bodes well for the miners because it does give them a little bit of a reprieve from the huge increases in network hash rate, which then cuts down into their profitability as well. So this bodes well for them. And then you can see here the miners that I track here at least started out roughly at about 68 exahash back in April 2023. They are now at 243 exahash here right now. So huge increases there for them over the time, and they are gaining market share. Going down here, we look at the month over month here, how much the network hash rate has increased or decreased at times, and how much the miners have actually added in exahash as well. So the past month here in March, it looks like the network increased by about 11.5 exahash, while the miners added about 17 exahash of that based on that. So we're looking at that. And then here's the public miners percentage Bitcoin network hash rate. It has been a roller coaster ride for these guys, but they have been increasing more and more as time goes on. And that's the benefit that the public miners have, is they have access to capital that others don't, that are private or even possibly state-run. Some miners might be out there that are state-run. They just can't go out as easily and secure the funds needed to grow as wildly and as nicely as they have. But we are up to almost 30% with the miners that I cover here, which is about 10 of them. They're at 30% right now, roughly 29.8, depending on the numbers you use. So we're 1/3 of the network hash rate is based in the United States right now with the public miners. That's not including the smaller miners that are added into it. Like Soluna, Gryphon, Sphere. Who else is in that boat there? Digihost, DMG, a bunch of other ones as well, a bunch of private miners as well. This just represents the public miners, the 10 of them. The 10 biggest ones here right now represent that much. And we also took out one miner 2 months ago, TeraWolf, which no longer reports their production updates, so we don't know where they're at. So yeah, this is fantastic. This is great to see. USA going for being the top country in Bitcoin mining here. So that's awesome to see. And then here's the month over month as far as this is, let me see, what is this? This should be, increase month over month. Yeah, 7%, 7.5% for the miners increase. You can see how that, certain months the miners do add more, sometimes less, but overall they continue to add steadily here. And then here on this chart here, we have the miners month over month hash rate market share increase or decrease. So did they install hash rate and actually got a increase more of their market share? And we can see here that majority of these guys, I would say, well, half and half really. Some increased, some decreased here. So Bitdeer increased their market share by 0.28%. Bitfarms by 0.28% as well. Cypher actually went down a little bit. They didn't install much of their hash rate, or they didn't install anything new for the month of March. That's why their hash rate or their percentage went down a little bit. Cleanspark installed a little bit here, 0.09%. Core was down actually 0.08. Hive was up, down a little bit, 0.01%. And then Hut8 was actually up quite a bit here, 0.56%. Almost 1% increase on them. IREN was up also 0.53. Mara was down 0.07, and Riot was down 0.07 as well. So what that looks at is compared to where their market share was last month to where it is now, and that's the difference between the two. And that is all done on this sheet here. Should be over here. Going down here, we're looking at down here, percent of network exahash prior month, current month, and we're getting the month-over-month difference here on these guys. So that's kind of where the data is coming in at that point. All right, so like I said, good thing. Miners are taking market share. Great to see that. Bodes well for them. They're going to be generating more money as definitely Bitcoin goes up in value here. So that's good news here. All right, next, let's take a look at the miners here really quick as far as their production for, or operations for March. And we'll let you know which ones are the top 5 more or less for growth. We look at month-over-month hash rate growth, BTC percentage sold, BTC per exahash efficiency, BTC mined, days mined, current hash rate, and then HODL as well. Excuse me. And we actually take out current hash rate and HODL out of those 8, and we do a 8 metrics and 6 metrics comparison on it, right? So month-over-month percentage hash rate growth, higher is better. Hut8 had the highest percentage growth in hash rate here month-over-month. They grew by about 100%, right? They installed quite a bit there of the new miners that they got in, so great job by them. Bitdeer was up 27%, Bitfarms was up 16%, IREN up 15%, Cleanspark was up 4% roughly, Mara was about 1%, Riot just up a little bit here, and Core actually lost a little bit there. So those are the top, you can see the top 5 here for that. Current hash rate, Mara's still king there, right? 54 exahash, followed by Cleanspark at 42, IREN at 37, Riot at 33, Bitfarms at 18 now, so those are the top 5 there. You can see everybody else below that. And then BTC per exahash efficiency, higher is better. Hive came in as number 1. They historically do very, very well. They're usually like in the top 3, if not in the top 1. But they came in at 17.33. Cleanspark came in close second at 16.6. Riot then at 15.8. Cypher at 15.5. Bitfarms at 14.9. So those are the top 5 most efficient miners in that. And the reason I look at this is because the more efficient you are, the better your uptime is, the faster you are to pay off your ASICs and things like that, right? So that bodes well there. Month-over-month BTC mine percentage, Hut8 increased 91%, Bitfarms 31%, Hive 21%, Mara 17%, Cypher 16%, IREN 16%, Core 14%, Riot 13%, Cleanspark 13%, and Bitdeer 3% on that one. And then BTC mined here, Mara came in number 1 with 829, followed by Cleanspark 706. We had a tie here, Riot and IREN both at 533, Bitfarms 280, Core 247, Cypher 210, Bitdeer 114, Hive 108, and Hut 88. So those are top 5 for you as far as BTC mined. Days mined, kind of similar to BTC per exahash efficiency. Hive was operating at 30.8 days roughly that I could calculate. Cleanspark at 30 days, IREN at 29, Riot at 28, Cypher at 27. And then Mara at 26 here roughly. Those are your top 5 there. Everybody else below that. HODL, well, we know who's going to win that one. As always, Mara has the highest HODL position there, 47,000 Bitcoin. Riot almost 19.2 thousand. Cleanspark 11.8. Hut8 at 10.2 currently here. And then Hive at 2,200. So those are the top 5 for HODL. And then BTC percentage sold here. Mara actually didn't sell. They actually looked like they bought some. That's why you have a decrease there along with Bitdeer. It looks like Bitdeer maybe bought or 3 or 7 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Riot sold the least, 0.4% of their production here. Cleanspark sold 2%. Hut sold 69%. Cypher 99%. Core and IREN sold 100% based on what together, at least for Core. IREN we know sells everything. Bitfarms sold quite a bit here, 142%. And Hive sold 480%. 488%. That was to buy out the sites from Bitfarms, and that's part of the deal. I don't know if it's part of the deal, but they had to sell some of that to pay in cash, I'm guessing, for all that stuff here. So based on all these 6 and 8 metrics, how did the miners compare? Right, so I give them a score, basically 1 to 10. The best performer gets a low score of 1, and then I add it all up, and then we get the total metrics here. Lower is better. We look at all those things there, and here are the way things shaped up. So based on all of this stuff here, on the 8 metrics, Mara came in at number 1 here with 26 points, Cleanspark close second with 29 points. Then you got Riot at 34, Bitfarms at 41, IREN at 43, and then everybody else down the line there. And then you got scores based on 6 metrics without the HODL current hash rate. And then you got quite a few ties here, actually. So we got a tie here for first place with Mawson and Cleanspark. Riot came in second spot, Bitfarms in third spot. Then we got IREN and Hive in number 4 spot. And number 5 would be Cypher at that point. All right, so it's kind of interesting to see how that's played out. We've seen historically Cleanspark and Mawson kind of battling it out between the two for the top spots here. So that's kind of nice to see continuing on here. And then here's the miners' individual metrics here. Anything above a 5 is above average, which is not good. You want to be below that, right, with all these things here. Mawson had a lot of 1s here in BTC mined, current hash rate, BTC hodled, BTC sold. Cleanspark had not that many 1s, but a bunch of 2s here, 3s, and the only thing that they have high on was month-over-month BTC mined percentage on it. Riot, more or less under the 5, so that's good there for most things except for month-over-month hash rate and month-over-month BTC mined percentage. Bitfarms, mostly under the 5, or at least. It's a couple of things that were all above that, right? You can see that. IREN here, same thing. A couple of things that were just higher than the 5, 4. Kind of tied here, actually. 4 and 4 things on that one. You got Hive here, kind of all over the place. A couple 1s here, BTC per exahash, days mined. And then, but other things they need to improve on, which I think they will going forward as they build out to 25 exahash. Hut 8, not a great operator on a lot of these things. They did get month-over-month hash rate growth, but so we should see some improvements from them next month going forward because of the added exahash that they have now. And then Cypher, kind of middle of the road here, more or less, right now. BitDeer, not really good there on it, and well, you can see why they scored the way they did. And then Core, obviously Core is not installing any new machines. They aren't, well, they're not installing any, that's the main reason why. They're not installing any new machines, but they're actually taking off machines that are older. That's decreasing their hash rate, so they're having decreases in production and everything else as a result of that. All right, now when we look at the last 12 months averages for all these guys that I track here, here's how things stack up on the 8 and 6 metrics. Cleanspark is still number 1 here with 25 points on average over the last 12 months. Mawson number 2 spot with 32, Riot with 39, IREN with 44, and Bitfarms with 46. Those are kind of your top 5 miners there right now on operations over the last 12 months, I guess you would say. If you look at the 6 metrics, not including HODL and hash rate, things look a little bit different here, not much. But you got Cleanspark number 1, IREN being number 2 spot, Hive number 3 along with Mawson, Bitfarms number 4 spot, and Riot number 5 spot as it is, and then everybody else after that on that. All right. That is all I got for you. So we'll get into Q&A here, and here's all the data that I track on it and how I track it and numbers and everything else, so you guys can have access to it. And Patreon members, get access to it. You guys actually got this early this morning. I sent this out to you guys this morning, so you had access already to it, so you saw what was going to be happening on tonight's stream, more or less. But that's it. So if you want to join Patreon, the link is down in the description for that. Greatly appreciate all the support that I get there from the Patreon members. You guys are fantastic. Can't thank you enough. And let's get into Q&A here. So let's see if I can do this properly. Where's my Q&A? There it is. Okay. So we're gonna do a little picture of me, chart, and the sticker down below. Let's see if the Q&A works properly. Let me see. As always, if you guys could preface your questions with a question mark or a Q, I'd appreciate it, and we'll work our way down as always. All right. Let's see. Cover some of these. Let's see. Andreas. Let's see. What else do we have here? Sorry. All right. Heinze says banks are scary to invest right now. Okay, good. The comments and the questions are popping up the way that I thought they were going to do. So that's working out good. So we're good in shape right now. All right. What are your thoughts on the publication on Riot's website about Bitfarms? It is important for us. Okay, so we talked about it yesterday, but I had a misunderstanding on it last night. I read the press release that they put out there, and my understanding of that was that they basically sold shares, but they didn't sell shares. It's just that the shares got not really revalued. It was the percentage that they own got revalued based on the simple fact that they bought Bitfarms bought Stronghold. They added more shares, right? So there was dilution. Their shares got diluted. So basically nothing really changed there from what I could tell. And from what you guys also commented last night, it seems like that was the case. Pitt asks, hello Seb, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Hope you guys are doing well. All right. Hello Seb, would you swap Mara with Hut 8 with Trump team investing on Hut 8? Well, they're investing in the mining side of things. They're not investing in the other portions of the business, which are managed services, hosting, data centers, AI, whatever they're getting into. They're going to spin that off. The Trump team gets 20%. Hut 8 gets 80% of the new business, American BTC, and that's going to be spun out by itself. They're going to have to raise capital by themselves in that spin-off. And so it's going to be changing a little bit. Plus, they want to grow. They need to raise a lot of capital, and they're not going to be like a public miner. They're going to be basically private, more or less, which is kind of strange in itself, but that's the way they're going. I think HUD just wants to get rid of the Bitcoin mining side of things, and concentrate on HPC, managed services, things like that. So that would be beneficial for Hut 8 because they don't have to put all the expenditures on their books for Bitcoin mining side of the business. With American BTC covering all that, they have to work on getting the funding, the land, and the power. It looks like Hut 8 is going to be providing that as a customer or as a supplier there, I guess. So they're going to benefit on that if American BTC can grow. That's a big question if they can grow. And how fast are we, or how fast can they grow is going to be the big question here, right? They said they want to get to 50 exahash. All right, but they're going to be at 15 exahash here probably shortly within the next couple months, I'm guessing. So they get some quarter of the way there, more or less. They just need to grow the other, what is it going to be, 35 exahash. And then where are they going to buy the miners? Who's going to be the miners? Sites, that's going to be provided by Hut 8. So I would hold off on that one. The only reason you would get into Hut 8 is if you think that the HPCI business is going to do well for them. They're supposed to be building out a data center in Louisiana. The theory there, it's for Meta, but I don't think we have any concrete, definitive answers on if that's going to be the case. All right, let's see. Cobra says, dilution is the problem with the miners. Share price may seem low, but share float is high and market cap is high too. The miners have destroyed market value by dilution. It's that simple. Dilution has been a problem, that's for sure. Bitcoin price also hasn't been doing that great. And yeah, I mean, it has been great. I'll just leave it at that. But, dilution can be a good thing. I don't think it's all a bad thing, depending if you actually get something out of it. If you get hash rate growth, all that stuff, I think that's all good there. Right. Let's see, Cobra says MSTR is better. MicroStrategy is a better bet if you want direct exposure and volume. Yeah, it has definitely performed better here in the last, I would say, 2 years or so. The miners. Manu has a question here. Hi, Seb. Do you know which U.S. states have made the most progress on BTC bills and likely to buy first? Oh gosh, the last time we checked, there's a bunch of states working on this. I thought I saw something about another state today that passed a bill. I'm drawing a blank right now on it. We should probably review that. We'll review that tomorrow. Let me write this down. I'll get a list of all the states that have done something. States with Bitcoin. Okay. We'll take a look at it tomorrow. I'll get some data on it for you guys. I know there's a bunch of bills in the process. Some of these are getting passed. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to take a look at. Rick B says, no China, no miners, no mining, no crypto, no money. Yep. Let's see. Matt, hey, Matt, how you doing? Thanks for coming in here. Pakistan government excess power to mine BTC. Nation state power direct towards mining. Love the show, as always. Mining Mafia, phew. Yeah, saw that as well. How much will they put into it? That we don't know. We'll have to find out. But then you want, who's going to fund the purchase of the ASICs? Is it going to be the state or is it going to be private entities that are doing it? But yeah, if you got excess energy and it's cheap, yeah, might as well put it to some good use here. And if you're not using it for anything else, put it to Bitcoin. Bitcoin can always be shut off and curtailed if need be. So that'd be one way to do it. All right. Imagine if the miners had just diluted and bought BTC. Well, Mara did that. Mara is now valued just based on their on Bitcoin, possibly not their operation. So it's not always that great. Let's see. Sebastian, in your percentage of market share of hash rate, are you using stated exahash or realized exahash? E.g., do you count Mara as 54 exahash stated or 47 realized? I am using what they have reported, so 54 exahash instead of the 47. Yeah. So averages, right? They say they run on average, whatever it is, 47 exahash, or whatever it might be. But yeah, I use the stated goal as what they actually have in there. So it's going to be a small difference, but it's not going to be big of a difference between the two. And Penny, thank you so much for coming in here. I haven't seen you in a while there, buddy. Let's see. John has a question. Believing Bitcoin is going higher, what are the main hurdles the miners need to correct for them to have a sustained uptrend? Maybe MSTR is the play. All right. Is going higher. What are the main hurdles miners need to correct? I don't think they need to correct much. I think some of these guys need to have better operations going forward. Improve on their operations. Some of the guys that already have great operations, like Cleanspark, IREN, Hive, they just need to continue to grow, do those things well, dilute as little as possible during this time, and that should help them out, I would think. But who knows, right? We know that there's a lot of institutions in these guys right now as it is. They've been adding like crazy while people have been selling out. So it's one of those quandaries that we're in right now as it is. All right. Let's see. Artist 1 says, BitDeer was one of the worst performers based on your statistics, but had one of the highest stock price last year. Yes, it did that because I believe the HPC potential, they have a lot of potential going forward into the second half of this year and into next year, right? I mean, right now, if we look at, let me see if we can pull this up. Oh, where is it at? I got too many charts, too many things. Where is it at? Miners comparison charts. No, that's not it. Where is it at? Shorted enterprise match market caps. Stock performance. Let's take a look at this here. We haven't probably looked at this in a while, but let's take a look at this. Miner stock performance over time, over different periods of time here. BitDeer, as you can see, is still up from 10/1/2024. So basically the beginning of the fourth quarter of last year. They're still up about 9.51% from where they were. If we look at from 7/1, so beginning of second half, BitDeer is down 28%. They have done better here than the rest here. BitDeer from beginning of last year is down 14%. Price from the bottom, basically, when we bottomed out, BitDeer is actually down 27%. So depending when you got into these guys will depend greatly on where you are right now. But then price difference from the beginning of this year, BitDeer is the worst performer, 66% again. So it's just that time frame, depending when you got into it, you're going to be either really, really good or you're going to be really, really bad at it on your portfolio, on your value of your portfolio right now. All right, let's go back here. Nope, not that one. Where did I want to go? This one. Okay, so there's that. Let's see. All right, Penny, I think I already covered your question. Easy count tomorrow. Yep, but covered that one. All right. Joe says, Seb, the black background is way easier on the eyes. Good change. All right, good. So you guys like the change. Perfect, right? You guys don't need to see my ugly mug anyways. Probably just take that out too. Make it easier. Maybe then I get more views on the videos. Maybe my face is deterring people from watching. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see. Manu here. Hi, Seb. Would you be willing to research some data services that will provide a clear list of institutions, long versus shorts, and we can crowdfund it? Maybe Penny might know this one. This is tough to get data on to see which ones are long versus short. If you guys have any ideas, I've been trying to find that kind of data out forever. That's easily available. I think a lot of the stuff is behind some sizable paywalls. I think Bloomberg Terminal offers that. I don't know if anybody else does other than Bloomberg right now. But correct me if I'm wrong there. If you guys know of a service that does it, if it's not that expensive, I'd probably pay into it. All right. Let's see. PFE is the best with P under 16, which also raised 3.24 billion, which 6 different insiders bought. PFE. What's PFE? I'm drawing a blank on that one right now. Let's see. DFly says Soluna is at 6 million market cap. This is way undervalued. Can you take a look? Soluna has been doing a lot better lately. I did cover them going back probably a year and a half back when they actually reported monthly operational updates. Then they stopped, so that's when I got stopped tracking them. But they have done a much better job kind of transitioning their business more into hosting and getting into HPCI business as well. So I don't know exactly how they're doing right now, but yeah, being valued at 6 million market cap, it seems like they're probably going to be, they probably have more assets than they are valued at right now. if that's the case. DFly asks, what are you buying right now? I'm not buying anything. I'm in cash. I got to pay property taxes coming up here and income taxes. So I'm all in cash right now. But I'd love to be buying right now with these dips. I'm a little upset that I didn't have more cash on the sideline to do that. All right. Question here. Realistically, Mara is the GOAT by a lot, right? If so, why? If not, why not? Mara is the biggest when it comes to hash rate and also HODL. But that doesn't mean that they're the GOAT, right? Depending on what you define GOAT. GOAT could be based on operations, could be based on other things as well, right? What does it cost to mine? Things like that. When you take that all into consideration, Mara's in the top there, but they're not like the best, I don't think, based on operations at least. When it comes to HODL, yes, they're the GOAT right there. But they have been improving on operations, which is good to see. Compared to where they were just a year ago, it's much, much better than then. So that's a good thing, and that should bode well for them. But they got to get their costs under control. Their cost to mine Bitcoin is still relatively high here, so they got to get that under control. All right. Sour Melon Gaming's got a question here. Where should IREN and Cleanspark price be right now, in your opinion, with current BTC price? I think they should be at least double from where they are. I mean, the valuation on these guys is ridiculous. Just think about the megawatts that they currently have in possession, especially IREN. IREN's got, what, 2.6, whatever it is, gigawatts of power in their pipeline. Some of it is already used up, but more or less they have a total of 2-point-some gigawatts. They should be valued more on, they should have more of a multiple on the value of the megawatts that they have there. Same thing with Cleanspark. Cleanspark's at 1 gigawatt right now, or close to that roughly, with all their sites that they have. I mean, some of those sites could be transitioned over into HPCI units, especially if they're close to, metropolitan areas or something like that. So they're not being really valued on those things. They're not being valued on their operational prowess as well, I don't think. But it's just the market the way it is. That's the investor sentiment, and they're shorting some things and going along on other things. Okay. Let's see. Pitt says, I changed my outlook. I don't want miners running till 2026. I guess I am paying 97,000 taxes for short-term gains for 2024. Okay, that's good that you're paying gains. Yeah, it means you made money, which is good. But this year's probably looking pretty bad. I'm in the same boat. I made money last year as well, trading Cleanspark a little bit, Core as well, and I got to pay on it. I got to pay a lot more than I thought I was going to have to pay on it. So that's why I'm in cash right now. All right, why Ben Bitfarms priorities improving megawatts of energy instead of improving exahash growth? Why is more important? Well, megawatts for HPCI garner higher premiums, I guess you could say. So that's possibly why he's looking at it that way. And that could possibly yield better results for the investors there, if they can get an HPCI customer there for one of their sites in Pennsylvania, right? So that's kind of why I think they're prioritizing that more so than on the exahash. Their exahash efficiency has gotten better when it comes to joules per terahash and all those things over time. They've been getting much more newer machines, which is good, right? Andrea says, 102 watching and only 19 likes. Please hit the like button for Sebastian Gang. I appreciate that. You are like my best salesperson, Andrea. I should hire you on. I'm terrible at selling myself here. Let's see. Pitt says Cleanspark to 46 in 2026. If we have an extended cycle, that could be possible. Benny has a question here. See you in Vegas. I will not be in Vegas because like a week later, I'm going to travel to Mexico for a 10-day vacation with my family. So that's too close. I couldn't do it this time around. If it was going to be later on, maybe, but yeah, I'm going to have to miss this one. Maybe next year, depending where it's at. All right. Would you consider buying ETH at these levels, 7-year low right now? I own ETH, as you guys know. I don't think I would be buying it right now. I mean, it's going to go up probably when Bitcoin goes up, but could Bitcoin do better than ETH in the long run? I think so. I mean, ETH and the altcoins and the poop coins, whatever you want to call them, those things have been, getting dumped on harder than Bitcoin is. So there's some divergence here between Bitcoins and altcoins that we're seeing here in the last year, where Bitcoin dominance is continuing to increase, right, as far as value is concerned, while everything else kind of falling down. So I'm holding on to ETH, what I have right now, and we'll see where it gets to. But yeah, it hasn't been doing well. All right. Pitt says just bought 100 shares of Mara. Awesome. I have some shares there as well. I think I have 144 shares of Mara. Is Cleanspark your most convention for top performer in price appreciation? Maybe. Recently, we've seen where Cleanspark has done, how do I put this? Hasn't done as bad as some of the other miners have recently. I'm not sure why that is. Is it because they're finally looking at their performance, or is it because they're stated that they're not diluting, which could be the case as well. So there's a couple of things that are going with Cleanspark here. And if going forward, they still don't dilute until maybe sometime in the fourth quarter of this year, I think that might bode well as well. Excuse me. For them, right? Because then if the stock runs, it actually runs and you don't have any of that sell pressure there. And maybe the shorts actually start to cover there, maybe. Let's see here. Brian says about CORZ for AI HPC. Yeah, I mean, CORZ, my dad owns a boatload of CORZ there. He's happy with it. He's holding on strong to it. He's not happy with the recent price action on it. And, but he's still way in the green on it. He's like, I'm going to hold on to this for another year, see where it goes, see where Bitcoin goes. How do they perform with CoreWeave, getting revenue from them later on this year as well, and see how the stock does. So he's really bullish on them. Okay. It says, how much is Bloomberg Terminal? Let's push Cleanspark to $32. Bloomberg Terminal is like, last time I heard about it was probably a couple of years ago. It's like several $1,000s a month or something like that. They need to be also like a accredited investor, I think, in order to get it. It's expensive. Okay. Instead of BTC, does it make sense to just buy Mara? Mara is way undervalued. I mean, their MNEV to Bitcoin that they have right now is ridiculous. If we look at it here it is. I'm going to pull this up. This is the MNEV here. This should be as of today, I believe. We'll get some better numbers when they report Q1 results. This is all based on Q4 results that we're looking at here. But Mara is at, well, the stock actually, the MCAP went up here today, so it's a little bit better than what it was yesterday. But we're seeing that it's back basically about 1, right, MNEV. So multiple of net asset value, right, 1. But that's just on their Bitcoin itself. If you include their, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's the Bitcoin that they hodl there. They're not being valued on any of the infrastructure they own, any Bitcoin that they generate, all that stuff. All the stuff that they have in the pipeline as well. They're not being valued on that stuff. So it is a little crazy here. And then let me see here. What is it? The current assets, Cleanspark's at 0.98. So Cleanspark's actually, market cap went down here a little bit. So they're a little bit under that. Again, same thing. Right now, not really being valued for infrastructure, megawatts, money generation, all that stuff there. A lot of these guys are low. All right. Go back here. Okay, talked about that. Let's see. No, talked about that. Okay. If miners keep crashing, let me see here. If miners keep crashing, I have to escape to Mexico, like Seb. I'm not escaping. I'm only going there for a week. So it's long overdue because we haven't had a family vacation in like 2 years. Like a major one, like going someplace to a resort and just chilling for 10 days. So it's going to be nice. All right. What's the risk with Cleanspark aside from BTC and dilution? Right now, the dilution is not really a risk because we know that they're kind of fully funded to grow to 50 exahash plus. The dilution might start to happen again when we get to, I'm guessing somewhere around Q4 maybe? I'm guessing. I don't know for a fact. So that might be that. Other risk for them, Bitcoin price, right? Bitcoin price goes down. It's not only going to affect them, but it's going to affect everybody else here. So I wouldn't say it's only to Cleanspark at that point. All right. Would you swap IREN for Cleanspark? They both have similar market caps. I own both. And the reason I own both is because of their growth. And then they also offer two different things, right? Cleanspark offers HODL, which they have about, 11,000 now, something like that, of HODL position. IREN does not have that, but IREN has the HPCI potential. So you get a mixture of both, I think, with owning both of those guys here. Good operations, great growth. So that's why I've invested heavily into both those guys here in the past 2-3 years, and still own a lot going forward. I'd love to buy some more with them being down so much, especially IREN right now, because IREN I'm actually in the red with it because I was buying it at higher prices, but I'd like to dollar cost average in it if I could, but I gotta wait. All right, there are sites that track 13Fs and show institutional ownership per ticker, but honestly, I don't find it a useful indicator at all. Okay, yeah, I know that, but they don't also provide the short data, right, on that. So that's kind of tough part that you get into. All right. Jim Kramer, here's a question. If the miners behave in a similar manner to previous cycles, is there a threshold level price whereby they would all really rip? I have read 120, 150,000 and wanted your thoughts. Thanks. I mean, if we go by a previous cycle, we can, I mean, the previous cycle that we really have with the miners is last cycle, which was 2021. The miners ripped like crazy at that point. This time around, the miners did have, I mean, they've done pretty well. They've done, I could say, even great from where they bottomed out in December of 2022, right, in January 2023. If you bought back then, you're doing really, really good. You're probably up on all these guys here. But recently, at least after the halving event, the miners have not done as what I thought they were going to do like they did with last cycle. With Bitcoin going up, they should have been following here. But we might also be delayed a little bit on that. And then if Bitcoin goes to 150,000 or something like that, I think the miners will start to run here with Bitcoin going up. Going forward, right? But it's also a different, it's a little different this time around because of all the institutions that are in here right now, the ETFs, everything else. The money can possibly go to other things instead of just going into the miners like we had in the past, where people had basically a choice of Bitcoin, or you had the proxies like Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners and MicroStrategy even maybe at that point. So let's see. Fred said, joined on Patreon over a year ago. Good decision. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love my Patreon members. You guys are awesome. You guys help support what I do. So thank you so much for that. Let's see. Nothing like being on an expensive vacation while getting killed in your investments. It's not that it's not that expensive when you think about it, since we haven't gone on a vacation for 2 years. So if you take that out over 2 years, it's basically amount to be like $4,000 a year for a vacation for a family of 4. That's not too bad. I'm not spending $20,000 on a vacation. So don't get me wrong there. I'm still, as frugal as I can be on everything else, so I can put as much money into investments as I can. But family needs a vacation. I need a vacation as well. So that'll be nice. It's been long overdue. Let's see. Benny says, I think effective January 2025, they have to report short positions now to Rule 13F2. Oh, okay. I did not know that. So that's interesting. I'll have to take a look into that. Penny, you are a wealth of information. Always love following your stuff on Twitter. If you guys don't follow Penny on Twitter, definitely give him a follow. He makes you think about the miners and everything else. He's got opposing views, which are fantastic and definitely makes you think. So give him a follow. If you don't, let me write this down. The 13F2 reports. Okay. Maybe it'd be nice to see who's actually shorting and who's actually, buying in it. All right. Hood's stock seems like a good long-term buy at the moment. I don't know where Hood's at right now, but Hood will benefit if Bitcoin goes up in value, right? That's going to give him more transaction fees, everything else going on with it. So it's the same thing like Coinbase. They're going to benefit with Bitcoin going up. Ricky says, Sebastian, we appreciate your knowledge. I appreciate you guys as well coming in here. Yeah, I mean, I've been following the miners at least for, 4 years. What is the latest Cleanspark price target for the end of the year? I mean, that's going to really depend on where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin stays flat here or goes up to only 100,000, well, the miners are not going to do that well. If Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, 200,000, well, then, yeah, things might look a little bit more juicy for us. And at that point, I would think Cleanspark would be at least minimum. Bear case, sandbagging it all the way, like 2 to 3x here from where it is right now. That would be like the lowest I would think it would go. But we'll see. We need to get past this tariff stuff and everything else, get the economy booming again, and get the stock market booming again. All right? But that is it. That's all I got for you guys here today. So greatly appreciate you guys coming in, as always. We'll see what happens tomorrow with the miners. We'll look at the states and Bitcoin bills, things like that. What's the update on that? And then we'll cover whatever else that we have as far as metrics in the miners and any other news that happens. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. And again, thank you so much for coming in here. Love you all. Have a great night. Until then.